Hello everyone, this is a channel about engines. Today we will disassemble this engine. This is a Mercedes OM 442 which has 8 cylinders. This engine was installed on a Setra 315 bus. The malfunction of this engine is that the antifreeze gets into the oil. Very often this happens on similar engines with high mileage. A little history of this engine. This bus was bought in Germany. In Russia this engine has never been repaired, I mean a complete overhaul to completely disassemble it by bolt. 2 years ago, the sump was removed and the oil pump was replaced. The old pump had low oil pressure. The fuel pump was also removed and repaired. It was about 1 year ago. That's what was being repaired, but this engine has not yet been completely disassembled in Russia. Now it will be very interesting for me to see what state he is in. This is the simplest engine, without a turbine. My favorite engine, simple and reliable. According to the owner of this bus, the engine worked fine, the oil pressure was almost good, the fuel consumption was good, but since antifreeze began to get into the oil, it was decided to completely disassemble this engine and repair it. So what do we expect to see inside this engine? We expect to see large wear of parts, uniform wear of parts. There should not be any critical breakdowns. I think it will be so. But let's not guess. Now we will disassemble the engine and see everything. This engine traveled 1 million kilometers on a bus in Russia. How much it traveled in Germany, no one knows. But I think that there are also many kilometers. It is clear that this bus was bought not from the assembly line, but after a long period of work. This is the first series, then there will be series for assembling this engine, there will be a series for starting this engine on the table, there will be a series for painting this engine. There will be 4 episodes about this engine in total. In this series, I will disassemble this engine and see the condition of the piston rings, liners, bushings, liners, pistons, and so on. The engine was dirty. I washed it at the car wash. As much as possible, he washed out the dirt from hard-to-reach places, from under the high-pressure fuel pump, in the attachment points of the injectors, and so on. Now we begin to disassemble the engine. First removes the tubes, manifolds, valve covers and everything else. Go. We see that there is oil in the collector, but there is no dust or dirt there. This is very good. We immediately see signs of the presence of antifreeze in the oil. Here you can see the emulsion on the walls of the valve cover. There is no doubt that this engine has antifreeze in the oil. This is 100%. We see that there is a backlash on the axis of the rocker arms, but this can be seen on almost all engines of this model when they have high mileage. Visually we look at the springs, like all are intact. Now we look at the rocker and it's amazing how good it is, how smooth everything is, it's fantastic. We see on this lid there are also traces of emulsion. This is due to antifreeze in oil. Then I will remove the high-pressure fuel pump, but first I will display the marks and see how many degrees the ignition was set. We see that the movable mark and the fixed mark coincided. In this position I see how many degrees there are on the flywheel. I put a point as usual, and after removing the flywheel I will see how many degrees there were. Then I will remove the cylinder head. Took off the cylinder heads and we see that the pistons have a diameter of 130 millimeters. We see that on the first cylinder there is a gasket with copper seals, and on all other cylinders with rubber seals. This means that the first head was removed, maybe even in Germany, or maybe already in Russia, but it doesn't really matter. We look at other gaskets and see that they have a Mercedes badge and a catalog number. In my opinion, I have never seen such gasket, original in the sense. The other 7 gaskets are like that. I think that these are gaskets from the factory, and this means that no one has completely disassembled the engine except me. Then we look at the condition of the cylinder heads. We see that the coolant channel on one head, also on the second head, has slightly corroded, but this is not critical. With good gaskets these cylinder heads will still work well. The coolant channel should be approximately this shape. The first impression is that everything is fine with the cylinder heads, but of course we will disassemble them, wash them, watch them. We see that on the head where there was a gasket with rubber rings, the contact plane was in very good condition. And on the head where there was a gasket with copper rings, there was a contact plane with very strong corrosion. Therefore, you cannot install metal cylinder head gaskets with copper rings, only with rubber rings, otherwise you will ruin both the cylinder head and the cylinder block itself. Then we look at the wear on the cylinder. We see that the wear is large, it is felt well to the touch and is caught with a fingernail. This can mean only one thing: that the cylinders will definitely be thrown away. This can be understood even without using measuring instruments. We also see that the same pistons are installed everywhere, except for the first cylinder. It was on it that a different gasket was installed. On the first cylinder the piston is different. Perhaps it has already been changed, but we'll see that when we disassemble the engine. Then I remove the fuel pump, remove the fittings and turn the engine over. I remove the head from the compressor so as not to break it when I turn the engine over. Now you can turn it over. The engine oil has already been drained. I turn the engine over and now I remove the pallet. Took off the pallet and we see that everything is fine. There are no shavings, there are no fragments. Then I remove the oil pump. Then I remove the oil filter. I unscrew the side bolts that hold the main covers, and then remove the flywheel. We look at the compressor, it seems so far so good, but then we will disassemble and watch it. We see that the compressor drive gear is in good condition. Perhaps the cylinder was changed once. And I will not change it. Maybe I will just change the piston rings. We see that the timing marks coincided. There are two numbers, one on the camshaft, a dot on the crankshaft. The shaft turns tight, this indicates a lot of wear on the liners. Then I unscrew all the bolts securing the main caps and connecting rods. I made an emphasis for the engine so that it does not turn. I unscrewed all the bolts of the main caps and connecting rod, and now we will look at the inserts. It is interesting to see what size, what year of manufacture, what condition. We look and see what we expected to see, namely, uniform wear, no strong seams or scratches, only strong uniform wear. In some places, peeling of the base of the anti-friction layer is observed. We see that the size of the inserts is standard. We see the Mercedes icon and we see the date of the release of these inserts in 1989. Now let's see the release date on others. Is it really this 1989 engine? Blimey. What wear is there? I have not seen such inserts for a long time. We see that nothing remained of the anti-friction layer, it was completely worn off. And in this place the whole base of the anti-friction layer peeled off. It already looks like 1989. Now let's see the year of release of this insert. Judging by the state, we can safely say that this is 1989. We also see that the insert has a year of release 1989. Later I will shoot with another camera, on which the focus will be better, and insert frames, so you can see for yourself the year of manufacture of these inserts. I know for sure that this bus covered 1 million kilometers in Russia, but I do not know how long it traveled in Germany. In Russia in 6 years 1 million, then in Germany in 22 years how much? 1 more million, or 2 million, or 3 million. Write in the comments what you think about this. What is the approximate total mileage of this engine? Now I will remove the connecting rod cover and see what kind of inserts there are. What condition and year of manufacture. Connecting rod inserts look much better, but then let's see more inserts in the connecting rod itself. It usually wears out more. Now we are interested in what year these inserts were produced. We see the Mercedes icon. It means there are also original inserts. We see the year of manufacture 1991. So far we do not draw any conclusions. We will draw conclusions when we completely analyze the engine and see everything. Now I put the engine on its side and I will remove the first, second, third and fourth pistons. Before getting the pistons, I need to clean this carbon deposit. Piston rings pass through it poorly. The condition of this piston is good. The piston rings are also in good condition. We see that this insert is produced in 1992. I just called the owner of the bus and he told me that the bus was produced in 1992. So the engine is also produced in 1992. Some inserts were produced in 1989, some in 1992. It does not immediately come from the assembly line to the assembly plant. On the sixth piston we see a broken oil scraper ring. I took out the piston and it fell out. We see that all the inserts are in about the same condition. There is no such wear on the connecting rod inserts as on the main ones, but there are small seizures and scratches. This is not critical and I think that there should be no problems with the crankshaft. The inserts that stand in the connecting rod cover have a year of manufacture 1991. And the inserts that stand in the connecting rod are manufactured in 1992. We also see the Mercedes icon on all inserts. I removed the piston and now I will remove the crankshaft. Took off the crankshaft and watch it. Visually there are small defects. It will be necessary to work with it. Later, I will install it on the machine and sand it with fine sandpaper. Then, I will take measurements of the necks in order to understand whether it is in size or not. Now remove the camshaft. There are small questions on the camshaft, but since the owner of the engine had no complaints about the power of this engine, about fuel consumption, and given that this is still an original camshaft, we will leave it. Then, I will take off the cylinders, since they are no longer needed and this is scrap metal. Then I will not regret them and just knock them out. Then I remove the liners, pushes and rubber bands from under the cylinders. Took out the pusher and we see that it has wear. The pushers are in a very bad condition and we will definitely change them all. We will install new pushers. Look at the condition of the rubber bands. They are still soft but have already lost their shape and have become rectangular in cross-section. Now let's summarize the results of this engine. The general condition of the engine is very good. Even in spite of such a large wear on the main bearings, this wear is good. Uniform high wear from high mileage. Nothing is eternal, and over time even very good parts wear out. What will I change exactly on this engine? There will be a replacement of pushers, replacement of camshaft bushings, replacement of main and connecting rod bearings, replacement of cylinders. Piston rings and sealing rubber bands under the cylinders is 100%. Perhaps there will be new pistons, but this decision has not yet been made. We will not do anything about the fuel equipment because the high-pressure fuel pump and injectors were recently repaired. I will wash and blow it all and put it back on the engine. We also leave the crankshaft and camshaft. They are in good condition and besides they are original. The bushings on the connecting rods will be replaced, since these have a backlash. New bushings will be machined on the machine to fit the size of the piston pin. The cylinder heads will need to be washed and disassembled. Then take them to a surface grinder and grind the plane of contact with the block. And then there will be a repair of the cylinder heads. This is lapping valves, replacing valve stem seals and so on. It was the first series about this engine. In the next series, I will be assembling this engine. Then there will be a series of starting this engine on the table, and I also plan to paint it. There will be 4 episodes about this engine in total, so subscribe to the channel not to miss new episodes. This is how this video turned out. Thank you all for watching. Good luck everyone. Bye everyone.